Welcome back, everybody, to the Real Ones, Real Talks podcast. I'm your host, John, here with my guy, Will.
What's up?
Today, we're diving into a topic of relationships and dating. So, a real fun topic. We're going to discuss the wins, the fails, and kind of everything in between. And we've got some really awesome guests with us here today. We got Hannah and then Mitch and Emily with us. So, we're going to kind of jump into it. Hannah, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name is Hannah. I'm 25 years old. I'm single, and I work as an assembly technician. I'm out of school. I went to college for a psychology degree. And yeah, now I'm just working and helping out at the church. And yeah, that's about it.
Mitch and Emily?
Hi, I'm Emily. I am 21 years old and I'm currently a student at Miami in my third year. So I'm in there for education and I'm student teaching right now. I've been going to one church for the last few months after I started dating Mitch. We've been dating for 5 months, but I've been going to their young adults group for just over 2 years.
Hi, I'm Mitch, 22, a college dropout. I'm a general contractor and dating Emily, as she said.
Woo woo.
Whoop, whoop.
I did drop out of college and then I had to go back. It sucked.
That's on you.
Yeah, I know. I'm still regretting that decision. All right, so we're going to jump right into it with kind of a very simple but large question is, how do you guys see dating in 2025?
I would say it's pretty bad. I think I lucked out with Emily here, but
Oh, thanks.
you're welcome.
Suck.
Like 7 people are gonna watch this and they're gonna be like, "That's a good dude," you know. Anyways, but from what I've heard, it's just like people don't want to have connection anymore. There's nothing personal about, I feel like, dating nowadays. It's just like, I want this. This is what I'm gonna get, and that's it.
It's all self-pleasing.
Yeah.
It's all surface level.
Definitely, that's kind of what I was going to say is it's just very much about what do I want? What do I want from another person? And it's no longer about, how can I become unified with another person and what can I do to, make an interesting life with another person.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I would agree. I think that I think there's still a heavy emphasis on like hookup culture nowadays. I say nowadays, like that hasn't been around for a while, but I think it has. I think that it's also difficult to find people that like have the same values and beliefs, like with all of us being Christian here. That's like something really important to me. So then it's like it's I've just found that it's difficult to meet people in person. You have to like really be intentional to seek out like going to social events with like people your age with the same beliefs or like stuff like that. I have also attempted like the dating apps type of deal and
They're
stuff like that. And yeah, it just is kind of wild how few and far in between it is on certain apps to like see someone saying anything about their faith in their profile and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. It's difficult is a word I would say to describe.
I think dating apps are part of the issue, is it removes the like genuine like connection. I don't want to say physical connection, but like in-person interaction. It's all through a screen, and a lot of people are shallow. Oh, yep, this person looks good. I'll just swipe, do whatever, instead of actually taking time to get to know the person. I think that's kind of been a big hindrance in this like dating culture world. If you don't fit into the cast, then it's like, oh, whatever,
Yeah. I feel they're competitive too, because you have the idea of like you're talking to this person and at the same time they're still talking to other people too, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's like now you have to kind of like you go on your date, oh, this is cool, but then they could be going on a date tomorrow with another guy or girl, and it just keeps going and going. So yeah, it's like it's a competitive thing too.
Yeah, I was so I don't use the right classification because like it's just all trash right now. So I don't know if it's talking phase, dating phase, whatever. But
I
I say I was this was earlier in the year. I was talking to a girl and things were going really well. And then I found out she was like talking to like 3 other people at the same time. And I was like, ah, well, this sucks. Like, whatever. And like I want to call the like breakup was like, yeah, I don't see anything happening. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, any particular reason? I'm like, just asking.
Yeah.
Nope, nope, that's all. And then next thing she was in a relationship. I was like, okay. I'm like, that was why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's hard.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that is like a difficult part of navigating dating through apps, if that makes sense. Because I feel like any other situation, unless you're like on The Bachelor or something, right? It's not usually really normal to like be actually dating a couple people at one time. I don't know. I'm sure that many people feel differently about that. But yeah, that's also been something that is difficult. I think it just requires like open communication or like honesty with the people too that you're talking to. Or like if you're going to talk to more than one person, I feel like you should tell the other person that you're talking to other people as well, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Or if you like, I don't want to say this weirdly, but if like you match with somebody, you go on a date, like, hey, let's see where this goes first before like, oh, let me see if there's better options out there or whatever. Like actually get to know the person before jumping on.
yeah, for sure. I think that's important, definitely. Yeah.
I don't think COVID helped with that either.
What, like
Because the
social interaction with
isolation,
people?
yeah, the isolation, everybody's isolated, so everybody turned to the apps because they couldn't get out and do stuff, do social events and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
And I think dating apps are kind of dangerous because, like you were saying before, people get in that mindset of like, oh, they're not cute, swipe next. Like just looking at someone based off of like 1 or 2 pictures, you like miss out about so much about a person. You know what I mean?
take the
If you
time
don't
to
give them the
read.
time.
Like,
Yeah.
actually read.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, it's hard too because with dating apps, it's like the person looking on the dating app, you're almost, if you get in the wrong mindset about it, like shopping for another person to
Mhm.
like hang out with. But at the same time, you're also looking through a profile of what someone else has put the best information about themselves out. So you don't really, genuinely know that person unless you take the time to really get to,
Mhm.
which is something that most people are not truly invested. And as soon as you see something bad, it's like, do I agree that we have to be careful and make sure that we're not, putting ourselves into a situation with someone who has a lot of quote unquote red flags? Absolutely. But, as soon as you see something that makes you feel the slightest bit off put, it's like, oh, red flag, that one's done. Like, we're not coming back to this conversation. And it's like, but you didn't really get to, explore like a genuine connection with that person because it was like, yeah, they like bit down on their fork on the date, so I'm done. Or like,
Is that a personal experience, Emily?
no, I just,
I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, you're right though. Yeah. I think that's one thing, even with myself, like I've had to take breaks from dating apps because I've realized that you very easily get in the mindset of just like, yeah, I don't know, just being quick to like turn someone away because the way that they said the thing that they said on their profile is strange. And I'm like, okay, next. But it is important to, yeah, just give people a little bit more of a chance than that initial like gut reaction, I guess.
So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but why do you think it's harder dating like now in 2025 versus, I'll say, pre-COVID?
mm, I feel like it just used to be more in person. Like, you would meet people and connect through like, you're going to school right now. So what clubs are you in? What sports are you doing? What activities are you doing? Or like going through church, what small groups are you doing? Through your job, like activities, hanging out after work with these people, getting to meet their friends. Like you just connected with more people and the amount of like conversations that you were having with people that you didn't know was more widespread. But now it's like you just kind of keep to your own social circle. And then a lot of times you turn to the app now. Just, talking about experiences I've seen my friends have. I think, Mitch kind of said it good, but I lucked out with the situation that I'm in. But
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think like Well, I'm just guessing. I think a lot of people probably got used to isolation or like being apart from other people. And so then trying to, yeah, break out of that to get back into more of a social mindset for the sake of just connection with others, not even just solely to find someone to date. But um, yeah, I guess it just seems like there was such um a skyrocket, I guess, of dating apps that came out over the last several years, because of things like that, that it's just easier to, like, date from your phone low key or, like, choose people from your phone rather than, like, going and seeing them in person, which requires, like, putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation and, like, I don't know, it can be awkward and, like, scary to go up to somebody for the first time, stuff like that, and so I think it's just a way not not to, like, shame anyone who prefers a dating app over, like, meeting someone in person, but yeah, it is, I think, often a means of escape to, like, not have to deal with the initial social interaction. But I don't know, I think it's healthy to, like, push yourself outside of those things if that's something that scares you. I say do it anyway.
What were we saying this morning? Be okay with getting out of your comfort zone or being okay with being uncomfortable or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
okay with being uncomfortable.
I think there's a lot more groups and outings and stuff like that prior to COVID. And kind of like you said, as groups intermingled more, there's more opportunity. And then now, like even working, I highly don't recommend dating coworkers or looking for
Oh
somebody
yeah,
at
no.
work. Uh, but like even now, everybody works from home. Like a lot of people work from home, so then you're more isolated, and then you get like your homebodiness, where you're like, oh, I don't want to leave my house.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a good
comfy here,
point.
you know.
Mhm.
So I think that changed a little bit too.
Yeah. Even school too. Like college is also offered online and stuff. Like those are all job and school are like things, ways that you would naturally meet other people out in the wild. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But so with those being eliminated, then I think that does make it a lot harder to just naturally meet someone.
Okay, so this wasn't a question, but it popped in my mind do you think it's more difficult to date or find somebody to date as a Christian versus in like the secular world? And I'm going to set like I can lead this one if you need more clarification. Is like the worldly culture is like hookup culture, does whatever. They just kind of, I don't know, wildflower it and just go whatever. But like as Christians, like we avoid the bar scene, we avoid like all those outside interactions. So then it kind of closes down our like network of people just a little bit.
I would say definitely yes, because, you know, if you don't have
So sorry.
I just feel like so even just friendship-wise, it is really hard to find other Christian friends to connect with, especially if you go to a smaller church and you don't have a big community. Like, I'm so grateful that at one church, there's such a wide and, like, diverse amount of, like, small groups that you can go to with different types of people in them. You can meet, you kinda know that you have that same, you know, standing belief and just all of that stuff, but when even being in a church that's bigger, it's like your options are still limited to that church unless you put yourself out there, you're joining in those small groups if you're someone that has a busy schedule, and then it's still, like, even between that, it just feels, like, very few and far between, like, being able to find those relationships, even within, you know, believers.
Yeah, we definitely live in a very like I call it the party hardy phase. People are just partying all the time. They're not looking for commitment or like not ready to settle down yet. I've actually seen a few situations where like someone wants to go through their party phase, but they know they're going to eventually like wear down and like be ready to start a family and stuff, and so they'll try to hold on to someone who's ready for loyalty, and that person just bites it, like they take advantage. Um, so I would say yeah, because a lot of people nowadays they want like in their early 20s to party, and then eventually slow down in their later 20s.
Yeah. And then, yeah, there's a lot, I would say definitely as you get older, there's a lot more baggage that comes with stuff. And if you are like one of those that, oh, I'm going to go party hard in my 20s, early 20s and whatever, and then I'll settle down later, it's like, I don't know. It makes things more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really sure because I don't have experience of dating otherwise. Like, I don't have experience dating on the other side of like, I am trying to find someone who has the same beliefs. You know what I'm saying? So then it's like to know what it would be like to date, I guess, in the world. Like, I don't know what else you would call that in the world or outside of trying to get someone with the same beliefs, then I can only agree with you guys and like assume that it probably is harder where we're coming from. Is that my
Yeah, you're filtering.
I would say because we have more like prerequisites, like, hey,
Yeah.
because obviously we're more intentional because we're dating towards marriage, and so hey, here's kind of a list of and this is probably a fault of mine. Like if I'm talking to somebody, why am I going to waste your time? So hey, here's a list of like my non-negotiables. Here's this, here's this, here's this. If you're not okay with that, that's perfectly fine. Let's not waste each other's time. And I think that scares people off a little bit of like if you're intentionally dating where like in the secular world is we just free willy-nilly date, we'll go do whatever, have fun, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, you know what I mean? I'm not saying like
Yeah.
secular people don't have values,
No,
but
for sure.
I would say ours are, I would say, more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my curiosity comes into play with like I'm sure there are people who aren't religious that still like want to seriously find someone to settle down with, like that kind of deal. And I'm curious if hookup culture and stuff like that actually makes it more difficult for them in a sense because of like um I don't know, like if that is the way that they're okay with a relationship starting and things like that, then I wonder if it's just so much more likely for, like, heartbreak and stuff like that to happen, and then it's like, "Well, when am I ever actually going to find somebody who wants to, like, settle down?" And I don't know. Is that kinda what you guys are saying?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We
Like,
touched
Like, I feel like we've been touching on, yeah, like, similar stuff, but
yeah.
yeah.
People like just as an example, let's say the male is ready to settle down, but the lady's not. And they start the relationship and she's kind of doing her thing and he has the idea that it will change eventually, right? And that's where the heartbreak comes in is you think it's going to change and there's a lot of chances where it won't.
Mm.
And they put themselves in something toxic and they're a little blinded by it to where they don't know,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
I think so.
Yeah.
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 It's kind of meeting the right person at the wrong time. So they're ready, you're ready, but they're not. And so it just kind of,
And they pass up other opportunities that could have been loyal, but they're like, I'm going to hang on to this one person.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it bites them in the butt.
I'd say like in a secular stance, I feel like it probably is a little easier to date around, but I feel as though it's not like as real. I feel like because we're very intentional about what we do,
Mm.
because we have God in our center. We have, you know, um, I just don't think it's not for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of secular relationships that are plenty fine, but I feel like a lot of it just isn't real love in a sense.
And I feel like people date so backwards now. Just like, for us, it's like you start dating and you're working towards different goals that you have. Like the goal that we are trying to get to is like, you date, you fully get to know this person. And as you get to know them, then you take those next steps of getting engaged and then getting married. Once you're married, then you move in together. But it's like people now, you date for a few months, you figure out if you like each other. Then it's like, now we're going to move in together because I can't marry a person if I don't know if I can live with them.
Mm.
And it's like, I guess that's fine if that works for you. But just like, it's like they want that commitment without the commitment. Like they want to see if it'll work, but they're not really invested. Like, okay, well, if it doesn't, then I'm out. Like, I'm not going to continue to pour into this person if they leave their shoes out and don't put them away. You know what I mean? Like, just.
Mhm. I think that kind of ties into even what Mitch was saying with like maybe not knowing real love, or like it's not that someone who doesn't follow God can't know what real love is, but I think that like in a Christian community, like we're constantly in relationship with like love himself. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like God is love. So then it like gives us a clear picture of what it looks like to unconditionally, like, you know what I mean? Like sacrifice
Yeah.
for another person. So then like, yeah, I feel like maybe, yeah, there's just a different level of willingness to work through things, I guess, when
I-
you're thinking about it in that sense.
I feel like we view love on such a different scale because we have such a perfect example set for us.
Mhm.
So it's like, you know, what other people view love as the feeling, but we see love as more than just that. It's also an action that, you know, we're called to do things in order to like, you know, give up, you know, your own wants and desires to, you know, make sure that you're helping to fulfill that person, but also with the expectation that they're doing that for you.
Mhm.
So it's not like, oh, I'm not ever going to have anything I want again, but it's like, you know, you're finding that person that, you know, truly, genuinely loves you and you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I like what you said before too about like there kind of being a different I don't know what you would say or what you did say, but like order to relationship as far as like,
Yeah, I just said like it's almost like people date backwards now.
yeah, dating backwards almost based on like what the Bible would teach, I guess, is like making God and like the spiritual side of things like the first thing that you would consider in a person of like, hey, do we have the same beliefs type of deal? You know what I mean? And then building up from there where it's like, okay, let me get to know you on a personal or social level. Like, I was just watching, I feel like a sermon maybe like a week ago or so or something. And he was just showing a tower of like the spiritual is like the biggest or most important, you know, to have the same beliefs. And then you go up from there with like personal or social, like making sure they like fit in with your people and like that you actually enjoy them as a person, stuff like that. And then going up from there, like connecting on like a deeper emotional level. And then like at the very last is like the physical connection. And I think that it is very opposite. Otherwise like taught in the world to like try the physical first and then almost go down from there of like, okay, then I'm gonna like pour out and expect all of this from the person emotionally or like jump in emotion wise. And then, you know, I hope my family likes them. I hope my friends like them. If not, then maybe I'll just, you know, stay with the person and disconnect from friends or family or, and I'm not saying that's true for everyone, but then the last being, you know, like if they agree with the same things, then great. I don't know. I'm sure that's not how everyone operates, but I think there is a deep contrast with the order of like how we're taught to go about things.
Yeah.
For sure. Sorry, I don't know if that was way off topic.
No,
That was
no.
just a thought that
No, that worked. We go with the flow here.
we love
So
that.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the key of the podcast. We just go with the flow. So we'll kind of jump into the next section here is kind of like building healthy relationships and stuff like that. So like what qualities matter most to you like getting into a relationship or in a partner?
Has a pulse.
That one is very important.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, they're alive.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I feel like there are lots that I could think of, but like a big one that we kind of touched on a lot is just making sure that you're finding someone that has that same level of commitment that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, just big things, you know, honesty, being trustworthy, being kind, stuff like that is
Mhm.
very important, genuine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, I think commitment's the most important. Because if you commit to someone with all you got and they just aren't really reciprocating that back, it can be damaging to you. So definitely what's the word? When like, when you're both
United?
united,
Together. What is it?
both united.
Mhm.
Honesty, of course, trust, I think is a really big one. You know, and all the other ones, caring,
Mhm.
kindness,
Yeah.
things like that.
I think being selfless is another big thing. Like,
Mhm.
just being willing to be open to the other person and their life and their things. That's another part of like dating culture too, is people want someone that will adapt to them without them needing to adapt to the other person. Like they don't want to have to change anything about themselves, and not necessarily like even in like a bad way, but just like people don't like change now.
Mhm.
And when you're going to be with another person, like you are, or at least for us, it's like we're trying to find that kind of soft spot to merge our lives together. So like thankfully for us, it's been pretty easy. We mesh very well, but there is work in different parts of that. You're having someone that has a completely different life and personality and different goals and hobbies and interests, and you're finding a way to mesh all of that together with yourself. And so having someone that's, selfless to get to know you and your goals, but then also just like adaptable and supportive is, very crucial in dating in a successful relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think like um I think there's a lot of importance of making sure that the other person knows that like they're not gonna like change who you are at your core. You know what I mean? Like if you're coming into a relationship and like seeing things that you don't like about a person and expecting them to change or things like that, that can be damaging for both of you in a lot of ways. But yeah, so like I like what you were saying about was it willingness to change?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I feel like I say like continual learner or like being willing to like learn, like humility to accept if they're wrong, like stuff like that. Um what are some other, yeah, you guys were saying like kindness, selflessness. There was one I was thinking, just maturity, like rationality with like um just being able to like work through conflict and stuff like that in a healthy way instead of um just like, yeah, unrationally and very messy and stuff like that. Those are just big ones I can think of right now, but
Finding someone who's willing to communicate with you.
yes,
You have
communication
to
is so
have good
important.
communication skills.
Communication's
Yeah.
key.
Oh, yeah.
I think like openness or honesty and like Mitch said, trust, like those are really big ones for me too. Just knowing, like feeling like the other person is not gonna be like hiding stuff or whatever, that they're like willing to be direct and straightforward and like give clarity, stuff like that. I say clarity is a gift. I've heard that before, and so it stuck with me. But yeah, like giving the other person clarity, honestly, in anything, in any part of a relationship, I feel like is so important. But
I would say for me, like obviously everybody has the same number one is like has a relationship with God. I want to say is God fearing
Mhm.
because entering in a relationship with somebody who isn't is just not going to work very well at all. Uh, and trust, I would say, is the second. Is if you got to build a relationship, it's 100% built on trust. So
Mhm.
I kind of think that goes with what you guys are saying is, open communication, not having to worry about if this person's hiding something from me is like, I trust you to be open and honest with me, have that clear communication. Uh, I forget where I was going with that.
It's okay.
But, is open, communicate, has an open mind that obviously when you're meshing your lives together, figuring out, hey, our families are going to interact and stuff like that, you're going to have to compromise. There's ways I'm going to have to be like, okay, we'll go this way, or hey, like, it's just you have to be willing to compromise and have that open mind. And I would say don't be scared to like have the difficult conversations. So,
Mhm.
uh something that I would like to do is like in my dating is I want to do not like the pre-marriage counseling, but like if we're in a serious relationship, so like we're 3, 4 months in, we're like, hey, this is going somewhere. Go to counseling together That way we can work through all of our like stuff together. That way there's no misunderstandings and anything. I've learned that through a lot of family and friends, like difficulty in relationships and stuff like that. I'd say counseling is a good thing to bring into that. That way you don't hurt each other in the process of it, if you get what I mean. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I feel like even if not together, like just knowing that the other person is also like considering things about themselves and like on their end what they would either be wanting to work on like while being in a relationship or just acknowledging like baggage they might be bringing and stuff like that. I feel like it is so important to have some type of grasp on like mm, just like I don't know, is that emotion, what would you call that, emotional
emotional baggage.
maturity, or like
Oh,
to be able to recognize that like there is stuff that you would have to work through with one another. I don't know. But
yeah, because obviously everybody, the older you get, the more emotional baggage you get, and
yeah,
the more
for sure.
experiences, the more trauma and everything. So yeah, I would say, what was the term you said?
Emotional maturity?
Yeah,
Yeah.
have that like, hey,
Or be
you got to be
sensitive.
careful of how you say things because in prior relationships or whatever, it could be taken this way and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
just being aware.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. Getting counseling can help you grow awareness of your own stuff that you need to work through or like what might be hard for you to interact with in a relationship with another person, stuff like that. But yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So we'll go into the next question. So how do you balance independence with being together, like in a relationship?
Mhm.
This is a pet peeve of mine.
Um, what do you mean by independence?
So I'll kind of like an example. So you know the couples that they get in a relationship and then they like cut their friends, to both of their friends groups out, and they're only them together all the time.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's like a pet peeve. Like whenever couples do that, like, oh, sorry, I can't do it because I'm with the. Like, you can still go have a guy's day, or you can still go have a girl's day. Making sure that, like, I would say your honeymoon phase of your relationship isn't, oh, I'm gonna spend every waking second with this person. I can't go without them. That like it's healthy to be okay, like to be separate. So I guess this is more direct to you guys because you guys are in a relationship.
Um, well, I guess I mean for us, I feel like it's kind of different because like I want to be with her a lot, um, but I do like my own quality time every once in a while. You know, just like I want to play Ready or Not with you guys at midnight. You know, um, just things like that. So I think there should be a healthy balance in that for both of us. You know, she should go do stuff with her friends and me not be involved. Um, I think that's just a healthy habit to have.
I think the biggest thing for us with that is just, and I know that we've hit this already, but like communication, just like, if he has something that he wants to go do, then he just says like, "Hey, this day I'm gonna go do this," and I'm like, "Cool, okay," and kind of the same thing here, but just like the importance with that being that, we both feel like we're spending an adequate amount of time together, so there's not like that, I don't know, like resentment or like hurt within you of feeling like I don't feel like we spend time together, which we don't have that issue because we spend a lot of time together. But at the same time, like also just making sure that, when we do want to go off and do our own things, it's like, hey, this night I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm going to go out with this person. So that way it's not like, hey, I'm going to cancel something that you and I have planned because now I want to go do this instead. And I mean, that goes for, canceling on your friends or canceling on the person you're in a relationship with. But it's just making sure that, like, you're both just happy with it. The best way to balance it is just to talk about it and make sure that you're on the same page.
I would say, so for me, I can actually speak from like I was in a relationship in college that my friends actually had to call me out and being like, hey, you're spending way too much time with this person and not enough time with us. And I was kind of like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, I'm just enjoying like being in a relationship, whatever. But I'm like grateful for those friends. I think it's like important to have people in your life that will speak into like negative situations that they see, or like be willing to bring stuff up like that if they like notice something. But anyways, they were right. I think that like practical ways of overcoming that was just making sure to either, not cancel plans with friends or with the other person when there's like a set date for something. And that way you're like, no, I'm being sure to intentionally spend time with different people. You know what I mean? Like making time for the relationship and then making time for friends and like family and other things like that as well. And then I don't know, I think Mitch mentioned like time to himself and stuff, but like I am someone who needs like time to myself to recharge and stuff like that. So I had to be intentional with that too, just making sure that like you give yourself and the other person enough space to like miss each other. You know what I mean? Not that you're trying to not see them for super long periods of time or something, but um yeah, I think it can be difficult to find a good balance, but I think it is very important to do that for sure.
I guess it's good you have friends that like are in place that like if you go down that, be like, hey, no,
Mhm.
like correct yourself, fix yourself, you know.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of conversations that's like, that's not necessarily gonna be fun to like
Yeah.
have to have with someone, but I'm so grateful that they did. And that's why I like it's stuff like that that makes me want to encourage other people to not be afraid of having like difficult conversations or things that could be awkward, or you don't want to feel needy or something like that. Like I didn't view it as like my friends being like mean or needy or something in those lines. It was like I needed to take a step back, and it kind of like snapped me out of it a little bit to like start to do that and view the situation a little bit more like outwardly, because they were seeing it from the outside and I was not. So
Yeah. Feel like I've said this before. It's like when you go to look at a house or something, you walk in, you're like, whoa, this is all shiny and new and everything. And you have that other person that goes with you that's not looking, and they're like, oh, well, hey, this is broke. And like, this is broke. And hey, there's a hole here, you
Mhm.
know? So having somebody like those close, trusted friends,
Yeah.
and when I say friends, that's a definition of true friend, is somebody that's going to call you out
Mhm.
if you're doing something or going down a path that you shouldn't be. So,
Definitely.
uh, but yeah, having that person to be like, hey, no,
Mhm.
call you out.
Yeah. Yep.
So we'll go to the next question, and this one might be a little more funny and less serious. Maybe not. I don't know. Uh, so, what are some red flags you've learned in just kind of your overall life of jumping into relationships, dating, talking to people?
I feel like I've gotten pretty good at recognizing on who's a psychopath and who isn't. Um, yeah, past relationships weren't great. A lot of manipulation, kind of stuff like that. Just very toxic things. Um, I didn't have to worry and I didn't have to worry about any of that with Emily. Thank goodness.
Good job, Emily.
Yes.
He's sputtering on his word.
Yeah,
She had a knife pointed to his.
I'm so glad you guys can't see this right now.
she's death staring him right now.
No.
Yeah.
Now let's start a fight. What are her red flags?
Whoa.
No.
I think that's good. Like being able to recognize like possessiveness and manipulation at the start, and then being like, no, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Two big ones that I think about a lot, and I'm thankful that, things have been good for both sides of this for us too, but like how the other person talks about their friends and family, however they talk about the people that they are close with in their life, is how they are talking about you, whether you realize it or not. So if they talk bad about their mom and their dad and all of these other people and their best friend and all of their pet peeves, and they're constantly complaining about the people in their life, that is also how they are talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a big thing. It's just like, making sure that people have good relationships set in place with their families and friends. And not everybody has the best family. So it's like you also have to, it's situational, but just making sure that, like, at their core, that they're talking about people in an uplifting way when they can. And then also just taking accountability. If you have someone that, like, immediately, like, even over the littlest things, can't say, like, oh yeah, I messed that up, or that was my fault, or whatever. And it's like the blame goes everywhere no matter what it is. Like, if it happens over something small, it will happen over all of the big things too. And that is a really hard thing to work through when you have someone that, you get into a fight or something and nothing can be their fault and they have to be right about everything. That is something so horrible to have to navigate through in a relationship.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know, I thought of fruit.
Fruit?
Because, like,
They don't eat fruit. That's a red flag.
I know where you're going.
they like cantaloupe. The guys, that's weird. No, I'm just kidding. I love cantaloupe, actually. I don't know why I chose that one. But no, like, so as Christians, if you're looking for someone who has the same beliefs as you, like, I would say a red flag is if their actions are not matching their words. Like, if their lifestyle, if they say they love Jesus and, like, really, really care about their faith and their relationship with the Lord, but then their actions are saying something different, please believe their actions and not what they're saying. And then, yeah, I feel like I talked about it a little bit earlier, but if someone seems, I don't know how to explain necessarily how you would, like, see it early on, but, like, if someone tends towards, like, wanting to change things about you, if that makes sense, like things that, I don't know, if they're, like, trying to diss the way that you, like, do certain things, or, like, live your life and your personality or different stuff like that might seem very obvious as far as, like, something that you'd be like, well, I don't want that person to do that. But I feel like even if it's like you're dating them already and that's just early on in the relationship or something, is that they seem to, like, push you away from, like, I don't know, there's a way of it that is constructive if you're, like, pushing someone out of bad habits, or you're trying to, like, encourage them to, like, live a better lifestyle or something like that. But I think that um if you just don't like how a person is, then rather than try and, like, change a bunch of things about them, you should just assume that that's not your person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so then, like, if you're recognizing early on in a relationship that lots of things are coming up that, like, this other person is expressing that they don't like, and, like, I would say that's a red flag. That's something that you don't wanna, like, stay in if it's not, like, in a constructive way, that they're trying to help you or something like that.
I'd kind of piggyback off of what Emily said is like accountability. So like if you're talking to the person, obviously a question, oh, so what ended your last relationship? They're like, oh, she was crazy, or oh, he was crazy, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then okay, what about the one before that? Oh, he or she was crazy too.
Mhm.
Okay, well, there's a lot more of the story there, and if it's the same consistently, either you got a string of bad luck, or maybe you should look internally and be like, what what are you trying to define as crazy?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I guess, there can be people that have, like you said, like a string of bad luck, and maybe the people that they with were just kind of, interesting people. It was a different time, different walk of life. But, also just being able to say, like, yeah, this was crazy and this person did this and this. But then also being able to say, but, I didn't help because I did this, which then triggered blah, blah, blah. Like, so, if they're saying things about the other person, just make sure that it's not just like, oh, the other person was just crazy and I was perfect and I don't know why it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But it's like, this happened and this was bad, but also I did this and I've grown in this way. So,
Or I could have, it strained because of X, but
right.
I could have done a better job at communicating or whatever, and I didn't, and that's partially my fault.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, and I think I would add too, like, not only looking at the way that they, like, talk about or, like, treat like family members and stuff, but even like random people. Like, how do they interact with people that aren't you? You know what I mean? Like in a
Yes.
social setting, like the waitress at a restaurant or
Oh.
something like that. Like, do they hold the door for strangers and not just you? Like, do they, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, where it's like, okay, is the kindness level there beyond just like what they're doing towards me? I don't know, because you're putting your best foot forward, especially when you like first get into a relationship or are dating someone. And so I think it's easy to be like, oh, they treat me so nice. But then it's like, but do they treat everyone that way? Or are they just making sure to do that towards you?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was going to say that was my next one is
Oh, nice.
treating servers badly.
Yeah.
Like if you're rude to a server, that person, like I'm meaning this respectfully. Servers have the worst job ever. There's no way on earth I could ever be a server because they just get, I don't know, trashed on all the time. So why are you being rude to this person? This person is serving you.
It's awful.
Yeah. So that like ticks me off when people like, okay, yeah, my food's wrong. You didn't mess up my food. Now sometimes, yeah, maybe they forgot to click the no tomato button or whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
Pick it off. Like if they messed up my food and brought me the wrong order or did whatever, I'm not gonna complain. Like I'm just gonna eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Sometimes I feel so bad when I see people get mad at like a fast food worker or something.
And I don't remember who was there, but I was fully prepared to go beat somebody up because they made their
Oh,
service.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were at Chili's.
Mhm.
That made me upset. I was like, you're making this young girl cry on her shift at Chili's
That's so sad.
for something that probably she had no control over. I bet you it was something with the kitchen.
It's always the kitchen's
Like,
fault.
Mhm.
It's never that serious.
No.
That's
It's
true.
literally
It's
never that
It's
serious.
never worth like beating up somebody
No.
that bad.
No.
I think you should
Hard.
feel bad as a person, like making your server cry. That is just a terrible thing to do.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any.
Oh, I
Oh.
thought of something and then I can't remember. What were you gonna say?
I know. I said I'm trying to think because there's a lot.
I feel really bad. Speaking of servers, I went to B-dubs one time, and I had like almost exact change. I was like maybe 30 cents off from being exact. And so that's what I gave the guy, and he came back. He's like, "You want your 30 cents back?" And I was like, "No, you can keep it." But then I was messed up. But I made up for it because the next time I went there, he was my waiter, and so like I tipped him double. But
Nice.
it was so funny. My boss ragged on me for the longest time for that.
Dang.
I would.
30 cents.
I said I would have too.
I felt
You
bad.
bomb, dude.
But when you have exact change, it's like, this is cool.
No,
I
you
thought
don't have exact change.
You're gonna give him 30 cents just
Yeah.
like that. Like,
he kept
kind of
it.
stuff.
I would, if I was the server, I would genuinely spit in your food. The next time I saw you, I'd be like,
Maybe he
"All
did.
right, watch this."
And
Probably.
Maybe that's why I was a little extra. It was a little extra good that time.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'll do this every time.
Yeah.
Getting like some spare change is almost worse than being stiffed. Like it.
Is it like a slap in the face?
Yeah, because like usually when you get stiffed is like you bring them their check, you bring them their boxes, you go back in the kitchen, and then as soon as you come back out, they're gone. I'm like, where's my money? But like if I see 3/4 on the table, I'm gonna be like,
Mm. Like, I guess
why did you even bother?
use
I
it at the
can
gumball
buy a
machine.
gumball. It's like, okay.
I'll
So anyway.
remember
Gosh, I can't think of it. There's a good one. It's out of the box, but it's a good one. I forget it now.
I keep wanting to remember what I said or what I was going to say.
Come on, you guys got to have more than that.
What is it?
Well, I process red flags.
Oh, red. It was something that had to do with. We already talked about it though, like conflict, like never being able to admit that they're wrong, like,
Yeah.
stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Like I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be that often that you're in like the very earliest stages of getting to know someone or dating them that you would see that side of them, I guess. But if you happen to have the opportunity to see that side of them, and
Sometimes you do because it's blatant, and you're like, "Whoa,
That's true.
okay."
I hope you would notice. That
Yeah,
that's
you
pretty
can't
thing.
get a word in edgewise, or you say something, and they're like, "Oh well, yeah, blah blah blah," and
Mhm.
I don't know, being always right or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now.
That'll come to me after the podcast. Be like, "Oh, that's what I was wanting to say." If like,
Right.
dang it.
We'll add it back in.
I'm so thankful that I don't have a ton of we don't have a ton of red flags between each other. I'm like, "Ugh, there's this and this and this." So I'm like, I don't have anything else on my mind.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, I think here's one is still being stuck on their ex.
Oh, yeah.
Like they just got out of a relationship and they're thinking, "Oh, I'll find hope." And
Rebound.
just jumping in a relationship. Like, no. You need to stop and like fix yourself first.
Mm.
Deal with everything that's going on, process before you jump in.
I guess another one would be like if people are secretive, like every time you walk into a room, they like close off their phone and set it down, or it's like they don't want you to see their screen, or it's like every time they take a phone call, it's like they have to get up and leave the room. They don't want you to know their business. They don't want to like open up and talk about their day or just anything like that. Like even if there isn't anything going on, like just having openness is important.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty big one because
Yeah.
they could have like a whole other family or whatever
Right.
being.
And it's like maybe they don't, but it's important that you like if you're letting someone else be part of your life, you have to let them be part of your life. And that doesn't mean that they have to sit there on speakerphone with all their phone calls, but don't make it more like closed off. Don't enter a relationship with walls up and closed doors. Like you have to be able to like be with another person and like be yourself around another person.
Yeah.
If you find that that's another one. If you find that the person that you're with outside of a healthy amount, like you're not the same with every person that you're with, but if they're completely different with you than they are with everyone else, it's like, oh no, I mean, he's not like that when he's with me, but I hate it because when he goes out with his friends, he talks like this and he doesn't do that when he's with me. Okay, well, chances are if he acts like that with multiple other people and it's just you that he doesn't, they're not the ones getting the fake side. They're not the ones that are seeing, the untrue side of their self. So if you see that a person has a completely different personality with you, like there might be some changing of their self that they've done to fit with you, and maybe that's not as genuine because that won't last.
I think this was what I was going to say earlier is it sounds weird, but like there's a difference between like being independent and like being so reliant on other people to live. Like for example, there's people out there that like they're 26, 27 years old that are still on like mommy and daddy and they can't function outside of like that. They can't make any decisions. They have to run and ask. Like, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but kind of, if you get what I mean. Like, the parents are so over domineering that they can't function. They can't figure themselves out because it's all what their parents are saying. And I can see on the parents' perspective, like, they want to protect their person, whatever. But there does come a certain point where it's like, hey, you're an adult, you got to make decisions for yourself if you want to move out or you want to buy a car or you want to work this job or go hang out. You know what I mean? They have to be somewhat independent
Yeah.
of themselves.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard people talk before about like seeing that they have healthy relationships with parents in the sense that like that their parents aren't like meddling in your relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, because then that would progress into like marriage, and then you have a mom or dad of an in-law or about to be an in-law that is like that your spouse or fiance, person you're dating, is like listening to them almost more than like considering your connection that you have. You know what I mean? Like not making their own decisions, but yeah, just almost too overly reliant on. Like it's good to make sure that your parents like the person, approve of the relationship and stuff, but then having healthy boundaries as far as like parents respecting that it is your relationship and not like they're not like a third party in it,
The big one. 'Cause
Yeah, definitely.
I know a lot of like friends and family where that was like a determinant factor is, and even it can go the opposite ways. They purposely and intentionally like sabotage the relationship. They'll call the person or message them and be like, "Oh, this person, blah 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 blah," literally talking about their kid,
What?
like trash talking their relationship, trying to get them to break up just because they don't like them.
Yeah, that's
And it's like, okay,
sad.
that's awful. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you gotta be, because you're kind of, I want to say you're dating the family. Like if you're dating somebody, you're dating their family too, so you're trying to figure out everybody and get to know. So just be wary.
Yeah.
But
It's hard.
yeah,
Scary a little bit, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes it can be awesome. Like sometimes you're like, oh man, I like that person's dad better than I like the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like, oh man, I hang out more with her dad than her.
Maybe that's a red flag. I'm
Stacy's
just kidding.
mom's.
No.
That's
No.
wild.
That's a huge red flag.
That is.
There's a song about it, guys.
Yeah, I know. But no. But definitely.
What's your remix?
Stacy's dad's got me down bad.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, now we'll get in
Patent
trouble.
it.
Trademark it.
Yeah.
Bless you.
I was like, what is it?
Are you gonna
Someone's already made a cover of it.
I know.
Yeah.
We got to convince them that this was the
Yeah.
Yeah. This
I'm
was
the
the
OG mention of the lyrics.
Yeah. But all right, so we're gonna jump in. I want to call it kind of more of a lighthearted conversation. So the funniest or the most awkward first date.
I don't even know. I've been like trying to think about this one to like have a good example, and I can't think of something.
I have one. I have
Okay.
an awful dating story.
Go ahead, girl.
So
oh my god.
this was not with Mitch,
I thought
just
of
to
one.
clarify,
Okay.
not with him. When I was in high school,
Sorry. I'm like dying thinking about something. Okay, go ahead.
I was asked to prom by a friend of a friend. So it's like we were mutuals, like we hung out within the same crowd, but we weren't super friendly. So we were kind of just like, okay, like we'll give this a shot. And he was just like, we should go on a date before we go to prom. So we have like, we can talk and get to know each other a little bit. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. So what we decided was we would go on a double date. Thank goodness, because that saved my life. So it's me and then him, and then it's hard because both of the guys in the story have the same name. So
no.
I'm just gonna call one R and one S. S is the one that I went on the date with. But anyways, we go out and like we all drive together, we carpool, and I knew immediately that this date was going to be kind of awkward because this guy was immediately like very touchy, but like in a very awkward way, like holding my hand, but like not knowing how to hold hands, like reaching over me and like holding my opposite hand out like this. Like it was, I know you guys can't see it on the podcast, but just imagine the most awkward way to hold someone's hand. And that's how we were doing it in the car. And I was like, okay, this is really bad. So we get to where we're going for dinner. We sit down and I don't know if he's like trying to play footsies with me or what, but he's like kicking me really hard under the table. And the other girl that I'm with, I'm texting her. She's in the booth right next to me. I'm like, this is bad. I don't know what's happening right now. And she's like, what is happening to the chair? I'm like, he's bumping the seat. I'm trying to like hide my legs under the seat. So she's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I am oblivious. I didn't realize she was like trying to get me out of there. And so I'm sitting there and her boyfriend has to say, hey, maybe you should go check on her. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll go do that. And I go out because we're about to go to the movies. We're about to go watch the new Batman movie. And she's like, are you going to be able to like make it through this movie? I'm like, I'm terrified because they have those like joint chairs, like the recliners at the movie theater. And I'm like, he's going to want to like cuddle or something. And I don't even know this guy. And so we get there and it was like a whole thing. We like went to the arcade and he's like breathing down my neck the entire time. Like no personal space whatsoever. And he's genuinely like such a sweet guy. He just has no like regard for personal space or like other people's feelings, or I don't know. But so we go in and like really quickly she sits down in one of the recliners with me. So how this is going to have to work is that one guy will sit like with the armrest between us, and then her guy would have to do the same, or they can share one together. And so her boyfriend hated that, but also knew that I was struggling. And I was doing this, like, he set it up. He was like, oh my gosh, yeah, if you would go to prom with him, like, because he was going to ask another girl that we knew she was going to say no because she had already discussed this previously. High school stuff. But either way, he ends up sitting on the other side of the armrest with her boyfriend, they're sitting together. And he's still like, like awkwardly reaching over. And it was just like the longest night of my life. And then it was awful because it was like, I have to go to prom with this guy now. And I did. And it was fine. Like, we had a good time because then it was a group of us.
That's good.
And it was like, it wasn't as, like romantic dinner, like all this stuff. I made sure that it wasn't like that. But I ended up having to, like, he thought that we were going to go somewhere. And I was like, it's absolutely not happening. And I have to break your heart. I'm so sorry. It was really bad. But
it's stuff like that makes me stand by the opinion that school dances are more fun if you don't go with a date.
I am such an advocate of do not go on a date unless you guys have like been together for a while and but even then, like, go with a group of people. Like, you and your person go with a group of other people.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more fun that way. It's so much more fun that way.
I don't know how anybody's gonna top that.
Yeah, no, really.
I don't know if it'll top it, but mine's very interesting in the sense of like, no, I don't know. I say that, but I'm like, just in my brain, I'm sitting here laughing at the picture of what happened. But so I met a guy on a dating app and we had like chatted back and forth a little bit to the point where I felt comfortable like meeting him in person. Be safe out there, guys. But so one of like the first things we had talked about, like sparking conversation, was like he said something about liking apples in his profile or something, like actually the food. Okay, I don't know why this is coming back to fruit when I was talking about fruit earlier. So it is a red flag. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, he said something about liking a certain type of apple, like just like to have a conversation piece in there. So jokingly, I was like, oh, like I'm a Granny Smith kind of gal, which is just like green apples, sour, whatever. He's like, whatever. So we chatted. Started on that and then continued into other things to the point where, we were like, all right, let's meet in person. So I meet him at this restaurant. I get out of my car to walk up to the building and homeboy stands up with a vase of wooden sticks and it had apples stabbed on the end of every wooden stick. Like it was like a bouquet.
He made it?
Yes. It was like a bouquet of apples, but it was like, the funniest part was that it wasn't like tied together or anything. So they were all like wobbly and very unstable. And he just like hands me this bouquet of apples and it's like, hello, nice to meet you. And I was just like, what do I do with this? Like, so I took it back to my car and put it in my driver's seat and went back in and had the date. But it was just, that was the first time that something like that has happened where I was like, I just really don't know how to respond here. Like, it was a sweet gesture. Okay. I was very appreciative of the gesture.
I have a
I
lot
thought
of
it was
apples.
sweet. Yes, and then
Were they Granny Smith?
they were Granny Smith.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, he
So yeah,
listened.
no, for sure. I mean, like it was sweet, the intentionality behind it and stuff, but the display was just hilarious. I don't.
That like makes me think about like, and maybe this is just like in the field of education, but maybe it's otherwise too. But they tell yourself like, or they tell you whenever you're gonna go into an interview, do something that makes you very memorable. I carry around apples to my first date.
That is a good point. That was very memorable.
I went for the interview. There's just a vase of apples down.
I'm like,
It's
Right.
not a box of donuts.
so fruit's a red flag for you.
I mean, apparently, no, I'm just kidding. He was a great
Someone
guy.
showed an apple.
Yeah.
I'm out.
No, it was very sweet. I'm not dissing on his Granny Smith bouquet.
Say mine's basic. So I met a lady on a dating app, and I didn't know this, but if you pause your account, it deletes your profile.
Oh.
So we had been talking for I would say a week or so, and we set up the date, and then the profile disappeared, and I was like, crap. I'm like, I forget what she looks like.
Oh no.
So
Oh.
I'm like, I have no idea. I'm about to meet this person. I'm like trying to think. I'm like, there's no way to get a picture because I didn't know her last name or anything. So I kind of have my sister's Facebook stalker. So I'm like, crap. I'm like, I don't know what she looks like. And I'm like, I can't just ask for a picture. Be like, hey, what do you look like again? So I basically went on my own blind date. My own blind
Wait,
date.
that's so.
I had no idea what she looked like. And I was like, well, we're just going to enjoy the ride here. And so I walk in, I sit down. So like preface my like go-to like first date's coffee because it's
Yeah.
easy, it's
Yeah.
chill, relax, whatever. And so I'm sitting down and I'm just like, well, I'm like, here we go. So like everybody that was walking in, I was like, is that her? No, I'm like, is that? I'm like, I don't know, I'm like whatever. So she finally walks in, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like she looked similar to what her picture was, and then, but I still, so like I would say dated for a little bit, like a couple weeks or whatever. I didn't know how to say her name. Completely like you know how it's spelled one way, but they say it completely different. I had no idea how to say her name or anything, and I felt bad on that. But yeah, I set myself up on a blind date, basically.
Didn't know what she looked like or how to say her name.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what-
yeah. I was like, okay, I'm like, I don't know how to say your name, and I don't know what you look like. But
That's great.
yeah,
Good job.
yeah,
On today's episode of Is Love Blind?
yeah. Seriously.
I don't think this was a first date, but I just got my license. I didn't have a car yet, so I took my dad's 2002 Chevy Silverado.
Chevy Silverado.
And she didn't live too far, maybe like 10 minutes. And I start to back out of the driveway, and my foot to brake, my foot is on the floor. Like I'm pushing this thing all the way down to the floor, and it's not stopping. Like, what is going on? So I pulled it back in the driveway and texted my dad. I'm like, I think your brakes are shot. He's like, no, they're fine. They've been like that.
Oh no.
I said, okay. So I drove 10, 15 minutes to her house, whatever. Played Fortnite for the first time in my life. And I got home, thank God, but the brakes were definitely gone on this truck. First time like driving by myself.
Ooh.
And next morning he gets out to go to work, and he backs out. He starts going down the hill, and he can't stop. It's like 6:30 in the morning. We're trying to push this thing back up a hill
Mm.
into our driveway. Yeah, that was a fun one.
Rough. I've had my brakes go out on me before. It's not a fun experience.
No,
Right, bro. I've had, I think my 96 F-150, yeah, when I first got my tires done, did not have brakes. And I went to Mitch's house that same day. And I remember like having my foot all the way to the floor, but I really wanted to drive the truck. So I was like, this is worth it to me.
house.
And so
Was
it was
for the
for
Among Us shirt?
Kevin's birthday party. And so like his house is on a pretty like steep incline. And so I remember like going all the way up, and you have to brake to put it in park. So I'm braking as the truck's rolling back, and I threw it in park. It's like, all right. I have one that's kind of just sad, I guess. In high school, which this is hard to say because I'm homeschooled, but it was like Zoom calls every day, and there was like 100 students in the class. Me and a couple other people managed to like throw our Instagrams in the chat before the teacher closed it. And so there was this girl I got really close with, and I'd asked her to homecoming because like our homeschool program was based out of Ohio, and they would have like homecoming and prom and just like in a general area. So Columbus was like the middle ground. So I asked this girl at homecoming, like I did it right. I called her dad, and I was like super nervous. I'm like, can I take your daughter to homecoming? And he was mocking me. Like he's mocking my deep breaths because I was nervous. He's like, you want to take my daughter to homecoming? Like, yeah. He's like, are you going to pay for her ticket? I'm like, yeah. He's like, are you going to pay for her meal? I'm like, yeah. And so, I told my dad, I was like, oh, dude, I'll scrub the walls. Like, give me some money. And so I scrubbed all the walls in the house. We went to Chick-fil-A, paid for her food, and then paid for her homecoming ticket. Homecoming, it was pretty good. I think it went pretty good. Kept talking a little bit after that, and then all of a sudden, like nothing. Just dropped dead. No response. No text messages. I'm like, what happened? When that happened, my response was, God has a sense of humor and character development were the two things I had noted. And I just kept living life. And then my 18th birthday, like years go by, been a few years. My 18th birthday, 6 a.m, I wake up, text message from her like, "Hey, happy birthday! You made an impact on my life." Like, what in the world, dude? And so I sent like a gif of like a thumbs up or something because my mind was still sort of holding a grudge on the whole situation. Like, why did this happen? And then Graham wanted to go to prom, his graduation year or his senior year, and so I was able to go too because I had just graduated months before. And so we went, and it was so weird because she was at our table,
What?
and all she had to say was, "Oh, so you're growing out your beard." That was it. I was like, "Yep,
Word.
I know." It was. I'd like to know why, but I don't know.
I would have just left. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I pretty
Look at
much.
the time. I gotta go.
Yeah, I pretty much did. I went to the dance floor and boogied.
Nice.
Did you do? Oh wait, what is it? The boot stoop boogie or something like that?
Boot scooting.
Yeah, boot scooting boogie.
Boogie.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, what's the worst dating advice you've ever gotten?
Worst they can say is no.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I was talking about that last night.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is like the, "Hey, here's how I feel," and you're like, "Oh, there's
You're such
plenty
a
of
nice guy.
Yeah, you're like, "You're a great person, and there's someone out there for you."
But
But
just say no.
just say no.
Just say,
Just say no.
rip the band-aid off. Say no.
No is not the worst thing they could say. That's
Yeah,
what you're getting at.
yeah.
They try to let you down gently, but it's just like
Oh,
slowly pulling off a band, like a duct tape
yeah.
off of your arm full of hair.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Well, being a general contractor, I work with a lot of interesting fellows. And it seems like a pretty reoccurring trend with them is, they've gone through divorces, things like that. And it's like, they always tell me, dude, don't ever even think about getting married. Just live your life, do what you want to do. Don't even waste your time on a woman. I'm like, thanks, I guess.
Those are the same guys that have like
You're
3 or
57. I'm 22. I'm gonna, I want to make an effort, and they're just like, just give up. Okay, dude.
Emily was
All
like,
right.
terrified over here.
Yeah. So I had like people do that, and they've had like 3 or 4 wives, and it's like, hold on. So you're telling me don't ever get married, but you're on your fourth failed marriage. Like, you should probably take your own advice.
Yeah, I don't. It's like, why would you even bother saying that to somebody?
So depressing.
It's like,
I feel like I've heard lots of people say that very flippantly. You know what I mean? Like, oh, don't waste your time on guys or girls or whatever. But it is sad when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to follow that. Yeah.
Hey, you stole mine.
oh, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think. Worst advice? Well, I don't know. I can't think of like a silly one. I feel like the advice of like try before you buy is just not.
That's sad.
Yeah, that's like
You
one
had
of
a
the
better
only
way to say
that like came to mind. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've
Mitch
never
looks
heard that
confused.
before.
Mitch
It's
is
basically like test the physical connection prior to marriage. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I've heard people refer to it as try before you buy. I don't know. That's just how I've heard it referred to, and I'm going to stick with that because I don't feel like explaining further. But yeah, I just don't think, because even what we were talking about earlier, I think that's a very unstable like basis to form a relationship on or like make a decision based off of.
and it adds a
Not-
lot
not
of
the best.
emotional baggage to a situation if it doesn't work out. Like,
Yeah.
well, now, oh, here, let's just dump some more baggage onto that. Here's the
Yeah.
next relationship.
Yeah, I think something I've heard people say, even recently, I feel like I've heard it a couple of times, but like, is that we as humans are not made to go through these breakups that are basically equivalent to divorce, because like that's not like what we were created to have to deal with emotionally, spiritually, physically, whatever. There really is like a deep bond that's formed through physical connection, and I think a lot of people don't want to accept that or don't care or whatever. But I think that, yeah, it just gets really sad because it creates such a so much of a more horrible, like, I don't know what the words are. Like, the consequence after breaking up when those boundaries are crossed just makes it a lot more difficult than it should have been or needed to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'd say one is, oh, they'll change. Just see it out. They'll change.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
No, they will
No.
not.
Like, I think there are ways that people can change to a degree. And then I think that when it's like a very innate part of who they are, you have to come to terms with that.
Yeah, but like, no, that's the core of their existence. That
Yeah.
part is not going to change.
Yeah.
Them, like, I don't know.
Yeah, along with that, I think the other side is I've heard people say, like, don't date potential, or like don't like look at someone for the fact of like, yeah, you're not like waiting on the fact that they're gonna change. If you feel like there's like big things that they need to change or work on, they probably should do that in singleness and not like in a relationship.
Like, don't date a project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you don't want to be the one that like has to teach them everything of like, I don't know. Again, there are levels to it. Of course, it's good to encourage one another towards better lifestyle and stuff like that. I think that should be a big part of relationship is you're like pushing each other to be better people and stuff. But yeah, if you're way far ahead in certain areas that they're still like really struggling in or need a lot of growth in, then you don't want to be like constantly dragging them along, I guess.
And then now we'll flip it. What's some of the best dating advice you guys have gotten?
Don't ever get married.
Whoa.
No, best dating advice.
Yeah.
I would say try to be their friend first. And we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, try to befriend the person first before you add in, or if you want to, everybody has a different label of like courtship or whatever, like court the person, or like just be friends with them, be around them, spend time with them, go to
Pick
the same social events. Yeah, try to pick conversations with them, get to know them better.
Yeah. I do think that's so important. I was once in a relationship where I then figured out, like further into the relationship, I was like, I don't know if I would be friends with this person if I like wasn't dating them. And that was like a really weird thing to come to because it's like, well, why'd you start dating them in the first place? But I feel like more people than you might realize like get into those situations. So I think that's great advice. Like you need a foundation of friendship for sure.
I mean, a big one, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but just like, you know, when you're starting to date someone, watch how they interact with other people around them. And I mean, that could be friends, family, the server at the restaurant that you're sitting at, but like, watch how they interact because the way that they talk about other people and the way that they treat other people will eventually be reflected to you. So, you know, do they talk kindly about other people? Are they kind to other people? Those things,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it'll come back and bite you if it's not good.
Yeah.
Mitch, you got anything?
Oh, I've heard make her your friend for like, I've heard that one a lot. I've heard never lie to her.
Yes, ma'am.
She's always right.
Yep, she's always right. Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
I would actually argue that she's always right is not good dating.
No, it's
Or
not.
No.
married.
Whoa, hold on a minute.
Sometimes. I don't know. It depends. Pick your battles. Pick your battles. I'll
No,
just say that.
I don't know about that.
Name
Uh-oh.
one time.
Oh,
One time.
fight.
You got some popcorn left?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
This one is kind of
Sorry, this is totally off topic. At church today, one of the kids from Kid City, he was there for some reason. And he came down and sat next to me during service. And this is like right at the end. But like he's sitting how I am in his chair, like almost laying down in this chair.
Mm-hmm.
And the chair pushes out from under him and he falls just in the middle of service.
Oh no. Wait, I think I heard that. Wait, was it? No, it was in the
I
back.
was at Trenton.
There was a loud noise in the middle of, or at the very end or something.
I think even Tyler looked over to see what it was.
I swear. So I'm not crazy.
No,
It didn't
no.
happen. Okay.
The guy behind me started laughing.
He did.
I would too. I'm
Just like trying to get this kid to stand up. I think he fell asleep.
Man, was Josh preaching?
Yeah.
Dude, how do you fall asleep during Josh preaching?
Well, he's 7.
I don't know. Josh is pretty interesting. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
For a
He does.
7-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Probably a very intelligent 7-year-old then, because I'd be sleeping.
Yeah. I'd be coloring.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I feel like what I was going to say was very serious compared to that. So we're going to take kind of a jump here. But like this advice, I think, works for you once you've been dating, for maybe a couple months or so, and you realize that things are continuing to get serious and you're considering like, am I going to spend the rest of my life with this person, or is this person the right person for me to be with? I know that this sounds kind of morbid or bad, but I do think that it's important advice. If something serious happens in your life and, you or someone you love is going to be in the hospital, or someone that you love passes away, is this the person that you can see supporting you through that? Is this the person that you could see sitting next to you while you're grieving, or, while you're dealing with, a loved one being like having an illness or something? Just like, are they going to support you? Are they actually serious? Are they taking you serious? Or is this someone that you can go out and party with? Is this someone that you can laugh with, but you can't, be real with? And I kind of heard that, and it was like, not something that, you consider all the time, but I mean, I do think that that's important advice, especially for like people that are so on the fence about like, oh yeah, but, I love him, and when it's good, it's good. Well, first off, another piece of advice that I also like is if you have to say that to yourself, oh, but when it's good, no.
Should probably get out.
Let's rethink this here. But yeah, just, when serious stuff happens, is this the person that you can see yourself being with? Is this the person that you want to be with when something bad happens?
No, I would say set boundary, like being genuine early in the relationship and set boundaries of, hey, let's not talk past a certain period of time, like a certain time, or just set proper boundaries to protect both of yourselves.
Yeah. It relates back to something I said before, but like give clarity, like literally in every stage of relationship. I mean, I've heard people say like in marriages and stuff, like you can't over communicate. And I feel like I've heard that for other stages as well. So dating, engagement, whatever it may be. And even if you like are trying to turn someone down or you need to break up or something like that, like it is just a good idea to, I don't know, like don't leave people in the dark. I feel like a lot of conflict or hurt happens just from like miscommunication or something not being said that could have been really like helpful to know. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to like spill everything to someone when it's like unnecessary. Be like considerate about the way that you communicate things, but I do think it's like really helpful, even like early on, if you do like someone, to just, I don't know, like you don't have to, just like you don't have to like leave someone in the dark. It's like nice to let people know what you're thinking or how you're feeling, so they don't have to like be constantly guessing, I guess.
I think John kind of touched on this earlier. Being intentional with your conversations, like not wasting someone's time too, is such a big deal. I know Mitch and I do this a lot, but I like to sit down and like come up with lists of like questions, and some of them can be fun and some of them can be deep and stuff, but just like talking through different like, oh, well, how would you feel about something like this? Or what are your opinions on this? Or, in your past relationships, how has this affected you or whatever? But just like making an effort to really get to know a person in all avenues of their life, and not just kind of like, okay, well, you know what? It feels good right now, so we're not going to like rock the boat, or, we'll figure that out when it comes around. But, if you think of something that you can talk about, then, talk through those things.
Mhm.
To get all the big stuff over with. That way you can focus on just building a relationship.
Yeah. I would say that we've done that. We've talked about, at least in my opinion, and maybe you feel differently, but we've made an effort to kind of talk through a lot of the bigger things already. So that way now we can focus on,
Yeah.
just stuff as it comes up, and then fun stuff too.
Yeah. I'm a fan of that for sure. I think it's important to get the things out there that are like most important to you to like have
Yeah.
to be on the same page with the other person about. And even if it might be like scary topics where it's like, well, if we don't agree, then this isn't going to work. But, you know, you got to come to terms with the fact that you just should have those conversations earlier on. That way you're not, like spending all this time together, building this emotional, like deep connection with somebody that if you just would have like learned from the get go that you don't agree on this really big thing that's super important to you, then like it's just going to cause less hurt and pain to like have talked about it earlier on. Um, and then one other thing I was gonna say that I think kind of connects to some of what you guys were saying is just like, um, don't be afraid to end something that's not like good, and like don't stay in something longer than you should. Like once you know that it's not a good relationship for either of you, or that it's like you um don't see yourself with that person or something like that. I think that prolonging that just causes more hurt for both of you. And I know it's like scary and hard to like have those conversations, but it's always going to be better in the long run to like get it out of the way, so to say. Yeah.
If you struggle having that conversation, pray about it. Because
Mhm.
God will open the door
Mhm.
to like lead that to happen, like
For
that
sure.
conversation to happen or whatever.
I agree.
So I would say
Yeah.
prayer's big.
Yeah.
Pray on
And
everything.
yeah, and if you are sensing that God does not want you in that relationship, just know like God's way is always going to be better than what you want and what you feel. And there's like there's a girl I follow on social media. Her name is Emma May. It's now McDaniel, but it used to be Emma Mae Jenkins, I think. But she always says her dad tells her the right time to do the right thing is right now. And so that's kind of where I get that idea of like, if you know it's not a good thing and you just need to like break it off or whatever, like better to do it now than to wait months and then be like, yeah, I've actually been half in, half out for a while. But
Something else too is don't be scared. Like, so this is advice one of my sisters gave me is don't be scared. Like, just because you're dating doesn't mean like every time you hang out, you're going out to eat or doing something. Like, you can go run errands, go like live life with the person. So be like, hey, going to run a bunch of errands. You want to go with me?
Mhm.
And so just kind of live life with the person without like living with them. So if be like, oh, hey, I got a birthday party I'm going to, oh, I gotta go do X, Y, and Z. You want to go?
Yeah, like doing like mundane.
Yeah, do like mundane everyday. Like I gotta go to Home Depot and buy stuff. Like,
Mhm.
you want to go?
Yeah.
And like I would say that that's like almost just as enjoyable as like going on dates and doing stuff, at least for me. Like,
Yeah, especially if you have the right person,
Yeah.
those things become fun.
it makes life more enjoyable when you have someone that you enjoy to do it with. And then, it also just like, that was a thing that I had a friend of mine ask me. Um, you know, she she's new to she's a new believer, but she was just telling me like, what how do you know that you're going to be able to live with this person eventually if you're not going to live with them before it gets like before you get married? And I was just telling her like, well, you kind of, trial and error things before. And it's just kind of like that. Like you're living life with that person without living with them, like you're going to do all of the things that you do. You hang out with them in their house, you cook meals together, you see their space, and you learn who they are and how they function and how they, kind of work through their day to day without living in their every moment and within their space. And then that makes it easier, I would assume, once you bridge that gap and you do finally get married and be with that person to then, work through that part of life with them because you've already kind of got a taste of it without, jumping in anything early.
Yeah, that's good. Because I think like big parts of life will not be like the crazy, exciting, fun moments, So like knowing that you mesh well in the everyday stuff for the
Right, and I don't feel like if we got married, I don't feel like I'm like, I have no idea how he lives. I have no idea if we're even gonna be able to, mesh well once we're in a house together. It's like, yeah, I'm not worried about that because I spend enough time with him doing the mundane things or just, doing stuff at one of our houses or something that I don't live with him, but I know that we would be okay. We'll work the smaller things out, like, laundry and stuff like that once we get there, but
He loves folding laundry.
I hate doing laundry.
So, but yeah, then that gives you an idea even of like that kind of thing. Like,
right.
I don't know, like you have to see if that person is like super organized or super messy, and like, are you okay with either of those options? You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, how are you, and will you interact well with that, the way that they live their life or
Right.
organize their life? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
I feel like just for us, it's been easy because I feel like the things I lack in, she's good at. Because I'm not organized. I can be a little messy, but she is clean. She's organized. She's got it all figured out, which is great for me.
Well, but then it's
Definitely
like
something that will help me.
same on this end though. Like there are different areas in his life that like I'm not handy at all, and I'm actually like the most clumsy and like not well-oriented person that I know, but he is, very good with that kind of stuff and just like I mean other things too, but
Yeah,
he kind of picks up in that area too. So, but again, that's just like, you live life with the person before you, really fall into a really big commitment, but without it having to be like, trial run. Like we're not doing we're not living together, but we're still figuring out those parts of our life before we get to that point. We're still,
you're like doing life alongside
yeah.
each other.
It's not always just about the fun stuff. Like going out on the nice dates is great, but we also just live day to day with each other too.
Yeah. I've heard someone too talk about like seeing someone through several different seasons as far as like how do they respond to, I don't know, like if someone struggles with like um shifting emotions throughout the year in terms of like seasonal, like some
Yeah.
people really struggle during like winter months and stuff like that, or even just seeing them through several stages of life in terms of like if something is going on in their family or with friends, like how are they dealing with stuff outside of that. And I don't know, that it's just good to like to know someone long enough and like see them living life alongside them long enough to, yeah, just be able to like get to learn those things about them. Because if you didn't spend that much time dating them, then you wouldn't have like seen all of those different stages prior to
Right.
marriage.
Yeah.
And you get to see their family chaos with what is it, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Yeah.
I think it's dying. That's why it keeps turning
Oh.
off.
We haven't
My
had to go
tablet
through
keeps
any of that
moving.
yet. Well, we did Easter.
Yeah, we did.
Um,
He's seen more of my family than I have of his just because of
yeah,
being
'cause
local. But
half of my family's in Pennsylvania, so
then again, it's like you've
Yeah,
technically only seen half of my family really too.
Yeah.
But
this is why we can't have nice things.
we're having some technical
Got it. Okay.
I was just in Pennsylvania.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I was in Philly.
I hate Philly.
Dude, I actually, you know what?
John, did you have a Philly cheesesteak?
I had multiple.
Did you like it?
I was there for 2 days, and I had 3 Philly cheesesteaks.
Very
So,
good. As you should.
we're not sponsored by these, but Angelo's, gotta go check it out. If you ever go to Philly, Angelo's is like in the suburbs,
Mhm.
and it's like what the locals actually eat
Mm.
versus like Geno's or Pat's, which I had both of those. They're
Interesting.
good, but you get like heckled by like the homeless people and everything.
Wow.
But like Angelo's, it's just like all the like local people. It's super good. Sorry.
I was just
Pennsylvania
curious.
cities are rough. Like I went to Pittsburgh. Oh my God.
Dude, nobody has drive, dude.
It's so bad.
Sorry.
It was awful. Like my driving, so I was like the driver for like the group. It was miserable. Nobody can drive. Like it's just no turn signals, nothing. It's just I'm getting over.
I'm just my bad. I'm over here laughing because I'm thinking of an experience. I went to Pennsylvania with some friends of mine, and then we visited like New York, Philly, New Jersey, like some surrounding cities and stuff. And yeah, we just had some interesting interactions with some of the homeless people in the area, which
Yeah.
which I won't repeat certain things.
We went to Pat's. So Pat's and Gino's are like right across the street from each other. So what we did was we split up. It was me and a big group of coworkers. Half of us went to Pat's, half went to Gino's, and then we split the sandwiches so we could try both. And we're sitting there eating the sandwich, and this guy walks up. He's like, "Well, my car got towed." And he's like, hinting like basically, "Can I get a ride?" And we're like, "Listen, there's 7 of us in the back of this Yukon. Like, no, we don't have any space." He's like, "I never asked you for a ride."
Oh,
Okay.
he's
And I'm like,
gaslighting you.
yeah, and we're like, okay, whatever. And he's like, "I need 1241. I'm like, what? He's like, "Yeah, I need 1241 for the bus." And we're like, "Sorry, like we don't have any cash when we travel. We don't carry cash. Sorry, we're out." He's like, "So you're telling me between all 7 of you dudes, nobody has 1241? We're trying to be like nice, and we're like, "No, dude, sorry, we only have credit cards."
Why is that such a specific number?
That's what we're like laughing about. So after like we looked up like cigarette prices and like booze prices, and he could buy a carton of like the cheapo like cigarettes. That's what we figured he needed a pack of cigarettes. So he's arguing with us, and he's like, we're trying to be nice, and he's just escalating. So we finished. We're grabbing our stuff. We're leaving, and he's like, "Come on, man, give me some money!" Like, and my one coworker is just like stuck in the situation. We're just walking to the car, and he's like, "Oh, I thought you guys were in a bus, not a Yukon. So you guys are in a Yukon and all, and don't have 1241. I see how it is." And then one of the guys said, "Dude, if you don't quit talking, I'm gonna throat punch you." And he goes, "I am dead serious. Open your mouth one more time, and I'm gonna throat punch you." And then turned around and walked away. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, we need to leave because he's gonna go get a gun or something." And then we all get in. I'm like, "Why the heck did you do that?" And he was like, "Well, I figured there's 7 of us and 1 of him." And I'm like, "Yeah, but there's this thing called a gun or a knife that he could have had." Like,
Homeless man carrying a gun. Come on.
Be safe out there.
yeah, and I'm like, whatever. So it was
never know.
fun.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, I just wanted to know what your opinion was of
Oh,
an actual Philly
so
cheesesteak
good,
sandwich.
so good.
Okay.
The only thing I nitpicked was Gino's. They didn't cook the onions all the way, so it's like almost like raw oniony.
What's the difference?
So they like saute the onions. So like they're, I don't know how to say it, like sauteed onions.
Do you mean between
A Philly
a real Philly cheesesteak
or
sandwich?
a Penn Station Philly?
Oh, completely different.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
oh.
think I like Penn Station better, which is
No,
why I was asking.
No.
Yeah.
You gotta go to Angelo's.
Okay.
So it's
Heard it
a
here.
Philly cheesesteak so they have different cheeses. They got Cheese Whiz, and then they have
Exactly. That was
Cooper's,
my face.
Cooper Gordon's or whatever. It's like some special cheese. So highly recommend get Whiz and the Cooper Gordon or whatever it's called. Super good. But they serve it on like not like a baguette. I don't know what kind of bread it is. But it's almost like an everything bagel bread.
That sounds good.
So like the bread's flavored and then the steak's flavored. It's just so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to try it there.
Yeah.
I don't know what place we went to, but they took so long getting me my food that my friends were already in the Uber, and I had to run and jump into the open door of this van while he was pulling away because they were already taking off without me.
No, so they open at 11 and we got there at 10:30. Everybody was mad at me because I thought there was going to be traffic in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the way we came, there's nothing. It was great. So we got there half hour early. They're mad. And then we turned the corner to Angela's and it's like halfway down the block. So we're like, okay, we're glad we're here early.
Nice.
But yeah, super quick and easy. Cash only though. Cash only, yeah.
So you did have cash.
That's crazy.
We went to the ATM.
I didn't lie.
But yeah, we did have cash, but we were like,
Blatantly lied to them.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
All right, what were we on?
I'm sorry. I don't know.
Oh, dating advice. Anybody have any more questions or any more answers on dating advice?
I guess not.
All
I
right.
don't know. I can't think.
I was gonna say, if she ain't with the Lord, run.
Yeah.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Same thing. If he isn't with the Lord,
Yeah.
you should probably run. And then here's kind of just lessons and growth in general, but how do you handle conflict in the right way in a relationship? We have a child over here.
Communication, no anger during the communication. You know, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Everyone's staring at me like I'm.
I thought
Like,
you were
Communication is definitely huge. But something else that, when communication is hard, because inevitably you will have a moment where it's like, that it's right not to get angry and not to lash out, but like that's the only thing that you can feel yourself doing. So it's like knowing when to step away and take a second.
Mhm.
But also, like, when you're in a Christ-centered relationship, as hard as it is, like, humbling yourself with that other person, let's pray about this for a minute, or let's pray for each other right now
Mhm.
that we can have this conversation and we can get out of it what we need to get out of it and work through it. And I think that honestly is something that, and I mean, thankfully we haven't really gone through, like, a big argument yet, but I mean, I think that that's something that will make a relationship with someone else who you're on a foundation with Christ so much different, is the way that you can work through things and how you choose to move forward with like forgiveness and keeping commitment with one another.
Yeah, I think like within like communication when there is like conflict or something that comes up, I think a lot of times like anger is inevitable and it's like it's a matter of like how you choose to deal with your anger. And so
Mhm.
I do agree that like it helps a lot to like take a minute, walk away, pray about it or pray together about it or something, to that extent of like seeking the Lord in how to move forward with how to express yourself and like how you felt that you were done wrong or um what you would like to see different. I think like just being open about those things is important, but also being really um open to trying to see the other person's side of things. Like I think that's something that's so important is like putting yourself in the other person's shoes. And it can be difficult in like the heat of a moment, which I think is why it's good to like take a minute if you need to.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think like once you're in a relationship for longer, hopefully you like get to know one another in the way that you would deal with conflict or like if you are someone who needs more time before you talk about it, whereas like someone else might like want to talk about it immediately and like take no time in between or something like that. So then like respecting each other's like communication styles or like the needs that one another have, if their style of working through conflict is like slightly different, like try and meet in the middle where you're not one of you is compromising completely for the other person, but you're like finding a good middle ground. But yeah, giving room to give space for a second if it's needed. I don't know. I just go back to clarity also. Just like be clear with what you need to say. But then I would also encourage like making sure you're honoring the other person in your words, like being careful about how you say what you need to say. I feel like there is always like a spectrum to like how you could bring one piece of information to somebody. You could say it like the worst way in the world that is like super hurtful, super mean, very inconsiderate. And then there's the other side where it's like maybe you're not even quite getting across what you want to say because you're so scared to hurt their feelings that you're not really getting to the point. And I think there's a very good middle ground of speaking truth in love of like, this is what I need to say and this is why, but like letting them know that you like care about them or you're not like dissing them the whole time that you're like saying things. I don't know. I think like those things are big ones that I think of is like say what you need to say, but be considerate of the other person, try and put yourself in their shoes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I like what you said about I don't remember how you worded it, but you said something about like, the other person's like it's inevitable that you feel the way that you feel. Like as an elementary school teacher, we tell our kids all the time, like, you can't control the feelings that you have, but you can control what you choose to do with those feelings and how you act on them. And I mean, and that goes for everybody. That's not just for little kids. Like, you're going to feel angry if something bad happens, and that is fine. But the way that you choose to respond to the other person, are you going to lash out and scream and, be passive and or choose not to talk at all? Like, or are you going to go about it and like say like, I want to have a productive conversation about this, but in this moment I'm not going to be able to do that. And like set those boundaries. And another thing about that is, and we've done this, but like having conversations about conflict before they happen. And that doesn't mean like, talking through every single argument that you could possibly have, but just like, talking about how have you handled conflict in the past? What have been some things that you haven't been given, or like some grace that you wish that you would have had for the other person, or the other person would have had for you in a past situation? Or what are your strengths in your communication style, or what are some things that that you're going to need from me when that, point in time happens, and like talking through those things, which is something that we have talked about a little bit already, just like because I know that I'm someone that I like immediate resolve. But, if he's someone that like, okay, well, me too, but I need a few minutes, or no, like I know I'm going to need some time to think through it before I talk about it again. Like you need to be on the same page about that before it happens, so that way it doesn't then feel like you're twisting the knife when it happens. Like, "Ugh, I just want to talk about it and this other person doesn't even want to like give me the time of day." Well, maybe they just there is a difference in communication styles. So knowing how you're going to handle that in the moment, it's not going to be perfect, but if you have an idea, that can give you some peace of mind, even just going into, something bad.
You guys like hit the nail on the head there. I had a simple yeah. Yeah. I had a simple as just never have an argument in the heat of the moment. Because
Yeah.
a lot of things get said in the heat of the moment that like people will do it to be hurtful. Because like let's say you're arguing in the heat of the moment and you're losing the argument, and they'll be like, okay, well I'm losing this, so I got to bring in 12 other things into the argument to break you down. So if you're gonna, and especially if that's your fighting style, then you guys need to stop, go get clear heads, and then come back calm, cool, and collected. Hey, I'm gonna hear you out. What are you feeling? X, Y, and Z. And then this is how I'm feeling.
Something I've started saying is it's very important that you like peaceably argue, you don't fight. If you find that you're in a moment where you are raising your voices at one another, like Lord forbid, like you feel physical in any way, like anything like that, just nothing productive will happen. Like you're not going to say nice things. Neither one of you are going to feel better walking out of that moment. It's important to argue. Healthy argument is something that's going to happen in any relationship that you're in, but fighting is not. So it's important to gauge, are we arguing or are we fighting right now? And if we're fighting, we need to put this away and come back to it later after we've had some time to think and pray.
Because I would say some conflict is healthy in a relationship.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you're not going to see eye to eye on everything. So if you guys can work through it and compromise on it, especially because like if you get married, there's way more conflicts that are going to
Yeah.
happen, and then you have kids and you may parent a different way than he wants to parent, and you guys have to come to agreement on that. So if early on you guys have kind of that set, then you guys can work through that.
Right.
You got anything, Mitch?
No, I feel like they said it all. It's okay.
All right, so I'm going to call it a couple bonus questions. It's in segment 4. If you guys want to answer it, you're more than welcome. If not, we can skip it.
Huh?
Oh, you mean that like the other two?
Yeah, the other two.
Um,
We're slowly running out
I feel
of
like I
time.
kind of have an answer for the one hard lesson everyone eventually learns. I was just thinking about it, and we talked about it last night.
Yeah.
Is like you're not in control, because what I mean by that is, in my teenage years, I thought in my mind I'd be married by 20, kids by 25.
Ooh.
We don't have control of that. It's God's timing. So that's kind of, I guess, the one hard lesson is realizing that you can't get what you want.
You'll only find it in God's timing. It'll
Mhm.
happen when God wants it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes God's timing's annoying, but
For sure.
unfortunately, that's the truth.
Yeah. I would go off of that, just honestly tying so it says, what have past relationships taught you, and one hard lesson everyone eventually learns. I feel like both of those kind of tie into what you were saying, Will, that something that I've learned for sure is very similar. Just that you can't control God's timing, but also to trust that like God's way is better or like best. You don't want to be in a relationship that is not like the right one. So like, yeah, ultimately, if it's not happening or you're not like finding a person, you feel like they're not coming into your life, you tried everything, still not there. Um, as hard as it is, like I would just work towards deeper trust in the Lord if you're a Christian. Um, and trusting that, yeah, like his timing is going to be perfect, regardless of what you think or feel. And another really big thing that has helped me a lot in singleness, as far as like not dating or um being married, obviously, is just recognizing that like relationships are so good and like such an important awesome thing to have. But I think like it's so important to evaluate your idea of like how high on a pedestal are you holding relationships and marriage over singleness. And then like even looking at like scripture, I think that the Bible talks very highly of marriage, but I think it also talks very highly of singleness. And I think it's just important along those same lines to just recognize that either one is a really good thing, and whichever one is like God's plan for like what is best for your life is like going to be good. And just recognizing that like ultimately relationship with the Lord and being in his presence is like the ultimate treasure, not like having a person in your life. Like you will still be full and fulfilled and like completely whole and satisfied just in Christ alone, not through a relationship. And our pastor even was kind of preaching on stuff like that this morning. But that's something I've been reflecting on the past couple months, is just like how much I feel like my previous relationships have gotten me to recognize that. And I think like God has been um like purifying through fire, in the sense of like it's not fun to like go through breakups and stuff like that, but that's really what I've come out on the other side learning, is that like ultimately God is the treasure, like not the other people or person or a different relationship status or whatever. So but relationships are still amazing and great, and you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
it's fine to recognize that and hold that in one hand, but like to make sure that in your heart of hearts, you know that like God takes the number one spot, and that's what's going to ultimately fulfill you the most, whether you're single, dating, engaged, married, all that stuff. Like no matter what stage of life, God will always be the biggest treasure. But yeah.
Would say embrace your singleness, because it is
Mhm.
it is nice, like when you finally like, okay, like I'm single, enjoy it. Like I don't know, it's just fun. Like there's a lot of freedom to it versus being in a relationship, because you don't have to ask anybody. You can kind of just go with the flow on a lot of stuff, or you can stay up till 1 in the morning next to the fire and not, it's just
Yeah, who can do
there's
that?
not a lot of responsibility in like your singleness. So it's kind of nice to embrace it, and you learn a lot about yourself
Mm-hmm.
during that time. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, everybody else?
Um, I mean, at least for like me, is I don't think I really knew what love was until God was in my life and I was actively pursuing God. Um, it just it just wasn't the same as it is right now. Um, because I have the perfect role model to look after and try to live my life like him. Um, but I'd also say something that I struggled with was letting go, because like in my heart I didn't always want to, but it's the right thing to do. Sometimes you have to let go of things, even if you don't want to.
Yeah, kind of like going on in that. I mean, I had the same thing. Like I thought I would, as soon as I got out of high school, like I'd fall in love with my high school sweetheart and then get married at 20 and be, have all of my kids and everything by like 24, I don't know. But, I had this idea of what life was going to look like with relationships, and then that just kind of didn't happen in the way that I thought that it would. And, I had a period of years where I just spent time being single and working on myself, but then working on myself towards growing with God. My favorite Bible verse is Psalm 37:4. And I'm probably not gonna say it exactly right, but basically what it says is, delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And I think that that verse just really encompasses what, if you are desiring a relationship, what you need to be doing to then have that desire. Because once I finally stopped, and I use this word kind of lightly, but kind of truthfully, almost idolizing this idea of needing another person to be complete.
Mm-hmm.
Once I kind of put that idea down, I'm like, okay, I don't actually know what's going to happen and if this is the plan. So I'm just going to set that down, and instead of me trying to force it, because you can't. You can try everything, but you can't force that part of your life. I'm just going to put that down, and I'm going to trust that if that is what God wants for me, I will have it. And instead of focusing on that, I'm going to learn his love. And then if that's, that'll be enough to fulfill me. But then if he wants to then reward me with, the love of companionship with another person, then that'll come. And as soon as that happened and I kind of, drifted away from that, clinging onto it, putting your claws deep into this idea of what you think your life is going to be like, and you just let God work. Now here I am 5 months into, a relationship that has, God has changed my view on love, just knowing him and having that perfect role model, but then also being in a Christ-centered relationship with someone now. This has also been revolutionary, just, and getting into stuff like being equally yoked and making sure that you're both walking in faith and praying together. It really does change how you view loving another person when you love someone else with Christ.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. And I do just want to say for anyone who is because I feel like I'm at a place in my life where I think I didn't realize how much I had idolized marriage or relationships or things like that. So that's why my advice to people now is recognize that, yeah, Christ is the treasure, regardless of what stage of life you're in. And that helps you get to a place of okay, I'm no longer idolizing this thing because I've already received the biggest blessing, which is yeah, just having a relationship with the Lord. But so for anyone who feels like they've come to a place of kind of getting there as far as recognizing that they shouldn't be idolizing relationship or whatever, maybe you're seeing that Christ is the greatest treasure and you're well, where's my relationship? Just know that like we were saying earlier, God's timing is going to be best, and it's also just don't let it become something in your mind where it's well, I need to get close with the Lord so that I can have a relationship or something. If that's what initially starts you getting close to the Lord, then great. But at the end goal is not the relationship. The end goal is glorifying God and being in a relationship with him. So I would just say, if you're at a point and you're still really, really desiring a relationship with a human, like a marriage, to just continue to wait on the Lord. And that kind of sucks so bad to for that to be the answer. But I agree with what Emily said. I do think that ultimately, if it really is a desire that God's placed on your heart, then I do believe that he will most likely fill it. And
Right.
if he, for some reason, does not fill it, I believe that he will either help you change that desire, or he will do a great work in you by teaching you that he is the fulfillment of any desire. You know what I mean?
And I can kind of speak to this. I'll be 1000% honest. the reason that my relationship with God changed so much is because I wanted a relationship.
Mhm.
I saw that verse,
Yeah.
you know, delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. I'm like, okay, I'm going to read the whole Bible and then I'm going to get into a relationship after I finish reading the Bible because I'll be this changed person.
Mhm.
And that's not how it went. But I will say, like, I always say this, there's never a wrong reason to open a Bible and to
Yeah.
start reading.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's because you're doing something selfishly for yourself, what happens when you start reading and you start truly digging into that Bible, whether it's because of something that you want or just something that you think that you're going to get out of it, God is going to use what he has in front of you and he's going to change your entire life.
Yeah.
Because what I was expecting the journey to be, open the Bible, read the whole thing, be like, wow, that's what God's love is, and then end up in a relationship. And I guess, like, could you say that that happened? Sort of. Like, I did, but it was like my focus left the relationship part of it because I really started to soak up like, whoa, like this is who Jesus is. And like, these are the things that I need to be important. And I can't even think about a relationship until I fix this part of myself and this part of my life. And wow, I don't really view forgiveness in the way that I should view forgiveness. And like, you start to learn so much about yourself and about Christ. And then you have this new thing that you have to develop and grasp. And it teaches you, like, it teaches you what love is, but like love for yourself, love for your God, love for your family, love for your friends, like all of these different parts of your life. And then you grow so much. And by the time that I got to where I am now, where I got into a relationship, I'm a completely different person than I was when I started.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
you never know how God is still working to change you. And it's like, God is doing so much behind the scenes. And it's like, I remember having that worry of like, I'm never going to find anybody or it's going to be too late because I know I'm only 21, but my whole rationale in my head was, I don't want to have to meet someone like super late in life and then worry about like, oh, I'm not going to be able to have kids or do whatever because it's going to be so late. But when you find the right person and it's because it's God oriented and he sets it, like this is his will for you in your life, you won't have to worry about all of that stuff because it will just come with when God blesses you with something, he'll bless you fully. And that was basically where I got to was I'm not going to rush anything anymore because his timing is best and his blessing is perfect. And even though I worry in my heart about like, oh, well, I don't know if I'll make this plan or this plan or this plan, God's got all of that covered. And if I don't get married until I'm 30, he'll still make a way. And if I don't get married until I'm 40, he'll still make a way. And if I don't get married until I'm 22 or 25, it will still make a way. But, really just learning to rely on him and letting him change your life because you may have things that you need to work through that you don't even realize. Because I remember having the point where I got through everything and I was like, all right, I did what I'm supposed to do. I'm just waiting now. But there was still so much more that I had to get through.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, that's hard to.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You guys are great. So just to kind of wrap up, we got a little ending piece. We got one or two. So just real short and quick. What's one piece of advice for someone navigating relationships right now you would give? We'll start with you.
For someone navigating relationships right now,
Yeah.
like any stage,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's like bad to say pretty much what we were just talking about. Like the very biggest thing that's been so profound to me in my life, like with thinking about relationships and dating, is just recognizing that like I said before, like Jesus is the ultimate treasure, relationship with him. And like you are filled, you are fulfilled, satisfied, whole, all the things with Christ. And I think that's so important to be grounded in when dating and like going into a relationship because then you're not putting all this like pressure on the other person to be everything that you need because they're not going to be able to fill those shoes. Like Pastor Tyler was literally talking about this today. But it's something like I had said earlier that I've been thinking about for a while now, but I think that's just foundational to any stage of life. But I think it's so important in relationships, honestly, whether it's like friendship or dating. Yeah, just knowing that like another person is never going to be perfect or like fill you in every way that you need. So that's why, yeah, I would just say that relationship with Christ is so important.
Communication's key. It's really, I mean, we've talked about it a lot.
I mean, I was going to say the exact same thing. Communication is key, both communication with Christ, meaning stay prayerful. Don't stop that once you're in a happy relationship. Like continue that prayer and continue that walk with Christ. And then just communication with your person or, friends, family, however you're navigating either single or in a relationship.
Mitchie?
I would say lean on what God has for you and not what you want for yourself. Just go and trust God. Even though it can be hard, just trust Him. Be with Him. At the end of the day, it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out.
Yeah. And then I would say mine is sometimes you got to go slow to go fast. So don't rush it. Go slow, take your time.
It's good.
And then there's something else I was going to say, but I forget. And then the last thing is in 3 words or 3-ish words. What's your ideal date? I'll go first. We're in fall right now. Be like sitting by the fire, listening to music. Cool conversation, just relaxed. I know.
That was like 7 words.
I know. But listen to music next to the
You want to
fire.
retry that?
No.
Aw,
I said
does it have
ish
to be 3
words.
words? Let's
No, just like a sentence.
I would say
Not like a 20-minute explanation of like, I want this, the weather's got to be
nature, food. I could do it too.
food.
That's all I need.
nature.
I feel like we're on the same page about that, but I would add communication. Like, I like to be able to sit down and talk.
Yeah, I guess.
So nature talk.
Yeah.
Nature food talk, where he's just nature food.
You know what is a nature food? Fruit. Just
That's a red flag. That's a big red flag.
red
Green
flag.
apples.
Yeah.
Yeah. Granny Smith.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys got pretty good ones. I'd throw motorcycle in there somewhere.
Motorcycle ride. Ooh, there you go.
Motorcycle's really cool.
Yeah, there you go. Aw.
As a girl, I don't think I would trust a guy on a first date.
I don't think, like,
Riding
even as a
motorcycle.
guy, I would ever take
Well,
a
it was
girl on a-
ideal date. Doesn't say first.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You said fall, and I'm like, sure, fall, pumpkin patch. No, I'm just kidding. Something like that just seems so fun, like a little fall market thing. We go out. Yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of like food and talking. I feel like
Yeah.
that's like basic because it is like a good option. You know what I mean? Or like a walk and talk type of
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I think if it was first date, I like your guys' answers because it would be like you're exploring nature, or first you eat, then you go explore, and then you're talking while you're exploring.
Yeah.
I think that's
Mhm.
pretty cool.
It's
Well, it
nice to
makes
have
it less
something
awkward.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice to have something to like break up the conversation if you need to.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
You're admiring nature. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at this leaf.
Look at that bird. That goofy looking bird.
Yeah. Or snake. Oh, look at that snake.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
running.
But all right, well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. I just do want to say thanks, Hannah and Mitch and Emily, for joining us today, and just being real with everybody. And thank you to everyone listening. And if you enjoyed the conversation, just make sure you share the podcast with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe. And we will catch you all on the next one of the Real Ones Real Talks podcast.